Are you a principal looking to form a stronger, more effective relationship with your school's parent, teacher, or organization group, whether it's a PTO or a PTA or some other name? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video today. If we haven't yet met, I'm Christina Heideck. I'm a PTO and family engagement expert, and I love to talk about all things PTOs. So let's get into it. The very first thing that you can do, I cannot stress this enough, is to start communicating better, clearer, more effectively with your parent group. As a principal, this is primarily going to be that you are going to be focusing on the relationship with the PTO president, because they are your main line of communication with the rest of the PTO. Everything should be flowing through the president. They are not the head decision maker. They are a decision maker, but in collaboration with the rest of the group. And so really, the first step should be there. So if you want a better relationship with the PTO in general, focus on the president first, because again, that is going to be the gateway to all the things. So I'm talking about meeting with the president on a regular basis. Before the school year even begins, you guys should be sitting down and having a conversation to get on the same page about how you best like to communicate, what you as the principal want to be looped in on, what things you don't need to be looped in on, how you want to be communicated with, the best times to reach you, maybe even exchange cell phone numbers. I've done this with every principal that I had a good working relationship with. We had each other's cell phone numbers, because something surely would come up outside of school hours, or something that should not be put in writing. Either, usually I viewed it as a preferred protection for the principal, like it just didn't need to be on there, but I still needed to communicate with them separately. I think many times that the phone number was used, not for anything controversial. Like one time I was like, hey, this one gate is locked and we don't have a key and the custodians are nowhere to be found. And I really need to get in here because it was a Friday night football game. We were running concessions and I needed that gate open. So the principal came right to where I was, handed over the key and said, hey, just make sure to give it back to me at the end of the night. Perfect. Again, that was one of the most fantastic principals that I've ever worked with. I miss working with him a great deal. The next thing that you should be doing as a principal is to show up at the monthly PTO meetings. Like, not that you don't necessarily need to go to every single meeting, but you definitely should be going to the first one and a couple throughout the year. If you personally cannot attend, that is so not a problem. It is more important for you to have a presence there. If you're not able to go personally, then you can send one of your assistant principals. You can send another teacher delegate in your place. Or, I mean, you're going to have to ask them, of course, if they would like to go. But it's really important that you are there. And if you cannot physically be there, see if you can Zoom in, see if you can get there like virtually. And if that's not possible, send a building report. Make sure that they know that you are viewing the PTO meetings as a valuable connection point for them. This year, we had a new crop of principals and they did not understand this at all. And the relationship between the school and the PTO has really suffered. Like, it is in a bad place, and lots of miscommunications are happening. The PTO tried to give the school money and the principals tried to give it back. Like, it's kind of a hot mess. So anyway, communication is failing on all points. Coming to PTO meetings, that's not happening either. So it is really, really, like I said, not good for this particular principal and the school. They have a lot to learn. All right, the next thing is to be open to new ideas. I know that you know a lot of things as principal. This is not your first day on earth. You have a lot of life experience. However, it would be really great if you would continue to be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. I've worked with school principals in the past who thought that if it wasn't their idea, it wasn't a good idea. And again, the relationship suffered. They were limiting the possibilities for what could have been, like, just by being so uncooperative. And they weren't even like crazy ideas or anything like that, but like, just be open to it. So if you find yourself you're feeling like the first thing that wants to come out of your mouth is no, I want you to maybe check yourself a little bit and see why that is, and if there is a path to yes, because the parents also come with a lot of life experience and they have ideas about what they want to do and why. And maybe if you explore that and have a discussion about what that is or why that is, then y'all can come to an agreement that suits everybody and that works for everybody and that really benefits the school in the end. If you are not already working collaboratively with your school parent group, that is another missed opportunity for you as a principal. There are so many different things that the PTO can help with that maybe it hasn't even crossed your mind. Here in Ohio, within the last couple of years, there was a legislative mandate that said that the schools had to provide education for both parents and students on, I think it was like sexual violence prevention, mental health awareness, and some other related topics. And so what ended up happening for my school is that the PTO did partner with the school where we brought in speakers and we were going to have them on like different nights. And the school said, hey, we'd love to have the social workers there so that if any parents or students who come want additional support, the social workers can be there to support them. And they actually brought in other resources too, different agencies that the school had also partnered with that the PTO did not have separate relationships with. So those entities would not have been at the program, but for the school saying this. And so we said, sure, this is great. So it didn't exactly work for the PTOs exactly, but we made it work because in the end, it is beneficial to work together, not only because you are pooling the resources, but that it's that team effort of that working together that really can lay a foundation for so much more. So the last way that you can foster a stronger relationship with your school's PTO or PTA as a school leader and principal is to just be a team player. Like, support the group when you can. And there is so much that you can do that you may not even be like realizing. One of the prime examples I have of a principal who was such a fantastic team player. I've worked with a lot of principals over the years. I've been volunteering in the schools for more than 15 years. And some principals were great to work with, but they didn't go above and beyond. And certain principals really went above and beyond. And let me tell you real quick about this one story about this principal who went, oh my gosh, I love working with him. And because he never made it seem like we were a bother as a parent group, like what we were trying to do. And he was always looking to clear roadblocks for us. So one year, one of my fellow volunteers, a dear friend who I volunteered with for a number of years, she had an idea to do a bonfire. And my husband was actually at that meeting with me, and I cut him a look, and in my eyes, without even saying it, I was like, they are never going to let us have a bonfire. And I was like, that is, because the concept was so new, and I had no faith that the powers that be would be like, okay. The principal looked around the room, he goes, let's do it. That sounds like a great idea. And so many roadblocks continued to pop up. The fire department, I'm sure you can understand, was not very pleased at the idea that we would be setting something intentionally on fire, because that is not their game at all. But they gave us the permit, and there was a little bit of negotiation about, to have certain safety protocols in place, but we made them happen. And the event was a huge, huge success. We were doing it at a junior high, so also middle school age. Those kids are so hard to kind of engage, but this, I guess we learned the lesson, setting something on fire is the trick. They will come, they will enjoy. We had the school played music, and the cheerleaders came, the sports teams were introduced. It was like a whole thing, and it was really a lot of fun. And the event is continuing every year. It's continued every year, even now. So it's been a number of years since that first event, but it would not have happened without that principal being really a team player, to see what he could do to make it happen. And he had a lot of influence with the fire department. And I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when he told the other principals and the superintendent that we are going to be doing this, because I just can't imagine that conversation. But I'm so grateful for him and to him personally. And yes, I've told him. But it just goes to show you what you can do when you are being a team player and when you are open to new ideas. He was constantly showing up to those meetings and communicating with us very well and very honestly too. And it was just a really refreshing relationship. So I'm sure that you want something very similar, because when you have this, then you, like I said, you can really leverage your PTO to do such great things in your school community, and you professionally will benefit. The parents will benefit from being able to give back. The students will, of course, benefit, and the teachers will get some of that goodness too. So I hope this video has been so helpful for you and that you will join me for my next one.